Welcome into the Invest Well Show. As always, I'm your host, Michael Wall. We're going to talk this show about short-term rental tax savings. Are they too short-term for your wealth and portfolio? Listen, as you know, if you watch this, Wall Private Wealth has been a sponsor and promoter, so to speak, of this show for a long time. I'm joined today with Nick Geraci and Steve Snowden, a.k.a. the Snowman. Nick is our private tax director there as well. And guys, we want to talk about this because this is important in relation to what's being seen. You know, you see people on TikTok and all over the place talking about, hey, short-term rentals, Airbnbs, all of these things. And this is often something where folks with some significant incomes, many of the folks that know us or have seen our firm know we work with wealthy families, high-income professionals, and they're in a place where they're saying they're looking for more tax benefit. There's a lot of tax savings, a lot of CPAs, a lot of TikTok influencers saying, take the short-term advantage. And it's like, gosh, what do I do now? I can't do more. What are you guys seeing?
Yeah, so this is something that has become much more popular in the last 5 years. Actually more than that. Since the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, when bonus depreciation was first introduced at 100%, the perspective that investors were taking from the short-term rental side of things was focused more on the tax savings than it was on the asset class as an actual investment. And as this has played out over the last few years, at first it was great, right? We had some low interest rates and everything was fine. And there was some short-term debt that's now coming to maturity and having to be refinanced at a much higher rate. These investors are now underwater. So the short-term rental loophole, although if done correctly, can provide you with a large tax benefit and can be profitable, that type of investing should be reserved for people who are actually doing this full time, understand how the real estate market works, the upfront cost required to get that property up and running, and understand that it is a job. Even to take advantage of this loophole, you're required to show material participation, right? You have to be involved in this thing, not on a daily basis, but very regularly for it to work from a legal aspect on the tax return.
So I guess, Steve, what he's saying is, or what I'm hearing anyways, is not all tax savings are created equal, number one. And number 2, don't chase. This is what I'm hearing. And obviously over the years of being in the investment space and tax space, whatever, we've never, ever, ever recommended anyone chase an investment or an idea solely for the purposes of saving money in taxes.
Yeah, because what's the goal in business? It is to make money and not lose money. You know, you want your business to be more profitable. Well, number one, so what is a short-term rental? That is a property that you rent out that has an average stay of 7 days or less. So oftentimes that's your Airbnbs, your VRBOs. And what we found, especially over the last couple of years, is
that's when your mother-in-law's come into town.
Exactly. But you don't get a tax deduction for that, unfortunately.
Right.
But we found that market has gotten very saturated. Yeah. You know, back in the day, you know, whenever this first came out, Airbnb, you know, people were going to New York City, finding a big building and renting out 30 apartments, you know, and Airbnb all of those and tripling their money. So there's been a lot of regulation. There's been a lot of saturation. A lot of people have had the same idea. And ultimately what it comes down to is this property going to be profitable for me outside of the tax deduction?
Well, what other options are there? If people are underwater in these real estate projects and they kind of just feel like they don't have any other opportunities or anywhere else where they can take advantage of the real estate market and the tax advantageous rate of return that they're getting, what else can they do?
Well, I think, but before he jumps in there, Nick, I think one of the things we got to talk about is the very beginning. So you kind of have 2 categories here, right? Mm-hmm. You have some people that are already down the rabbit hole and they have all of these properties and they're underwater and they're not sure what to do. That's category 1. And then you have other folks that are in a place where they're like, hey, I've heard about short-term rentals. I've heard about this being a good idea. I've heard about the tax benefits from it. I don't really know if it's the best thing to go. Maybe they've heard it's the only thing in town. The reality of it is it's not, and there's a lot of other opportunities.
Yeah. You know, and oftentimes whenever somebody comes to us, they don't just have 1 property or 2 properties. Oftentimes it's, 10, 15, 20, 25 properties, a portfolio they've built over their entire life. And one of the first things we do is we really break it down and we review the properties. You know, what is the cap rate of each property? What is the return of each property? Nick, I know we've sat down with a few clients. And after we run all the numbers, we're like, hey, you're getting a 2.1% return annually on this real estate property. There's we know that there's some better options out there. We found a lot of success and private limited partnership real estate projects, from multifamily to self-storage to marinas to car washes, the gas stations, that give great tax benefits, but we're also getting a strong return on our money, which is ultimately our goal. And we don't have to do any work for it. It's mailbox money.
When you talk about mailbox money, a lot of people, I like mailbox money. Well, first off, I don't like walking to the mailbox anymore either. I like to get it direct deposited. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But the reality of it is, you mentioned something, Steve, that's very important, because a lot of times people are in a place where they, when you buy a property and you invest in a property, let's say you own a property as you're watching this, and they own a property, and they realize that, gosh, maybe I'm not maximizing my return on this investment. You're almost to yourself admitting that maybe you didn't make the best investment you could have made. Mm-hmm. That's hard for people to do when it comes to pride. The right pride is personal responsibility in daily endeavors. So we need to be cautious when we look at our investments, that we are honest about evaluating what's really happening, because the net profit on a lot of these properties after taxes and insurance and maintenance and upkeep and all this stuff are actually paid are not that strong.
Yeah, take the emotion out of it.
Take the emotion out of it. Think of it like a business owner. And if you're making less than 8, 9, 10 minimum, in my opinion, 10%, you're taking a lot of risk on properties, net to you. You should probably be doing something different. And I think that's so important when you take a look at this. And what Steve just shared is a myriad of kind of investment opportunities. And there's others out there as we build things and we build portfolios. We've seen a lot of great value. Nick, and I know on the tax side, you see this because a lot of times people will come in and they just feel stuck, right? And they're in a place you're like, gosh, I wish I would have known some of this information before I started.
Yeah.
And so that's why we talk a lot around here about the idea of begin with the end in mind. And I think as you're looking at your investment portfolio, as you're looking at your investment world in life, you want to begin with the end in mind. Why am I investing in this? What is the goal? How does this complement or compete with the current investments that I do have? And are there better strategies that I'm unaware of? Steve, we talk a lot about the idea that a lot of people don't know what they want because
they don't know what's available.
Right. And that's exactly why we want to say, let's sit down and talk about what really is available so we can maximize the wealth. What else are thoughts on this, guys, that'll help people stay out of pitfalls?
When we talk to families financially about other professionals, another quote we say is business and friends are friends. And it's the same thing with real estate. A family may say, but I love this property and I love the couch in the living room and I don't want to sell it. I have an emotional attachment with this real estate property. And that we find that to be, fairly common actually in the real estate investor space. And, ultimately we really want to break things down. We want to look at the numbers. And if somebody has a very large real estate portfolio, what are 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 of your worst performing properties that we can strip off, manage the tax consequences of that by 1031ing into some of these real estate projects, increasing the return, and really taking steps to improve their overall financial picture, which is ultimately our goal.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
We said take the emotion out of it, but I'm going to say it again. Take the emotion out of it, right?
Yeah.
Look at these properties for what they are. They're investment vehicles that you're utilizing to help supplement your retirement. If it is not solving that for you, it is no longer an asset that should be part of your portfolio, right? Do the simple math, undo the underwriting, ask your financial advisor, your CPA, whoever it might be, whether that's us or someone else, and just do the calculation. You're going to be shocked how many people will do this exercise and come back with a 1 to 3% rate of return on the money that they're holding. And don't just do the math based on what your initial investment is. Do the math based on what that property's current equity value is.
Yeah.
What could you do with that equity if it was deployed elsewhere?
Right.
It could have been great 5-10 years ago. Maybe it's stagnated.
Yeah.
We move on to the next thing at that point.
Yeah, it's so important. I mean, this is a real simple, silly analogy, Nick, but I'll kind of close it with this. Imagine being a football coach and you're a team owner and you hire a coach that has 3 main plays. And those main plays are run up the middle, run up the side, and run up the other side. And on average, you get 2 yards a carry, and that's your whole deal. That coach is being hired by this team and this team and this team because these teams are saying, I like that strategy. I want to do that too. What am I trying to say here? What I'm trying to say, sometimes the people that are giving you information about how well you're doing, you have to look at the playbook and be honest about it. And if running up the middle ain't working, you probably need to get a different coach. And so what I'm saying in relation to your portfolio is if you're in a place where your advisor, your team, your wealth team, your family office team has not given you great information to really help you propel what you're doing in a real way, whether they're friends or not. You need to rethink your team. We get one shot to go through this life, one shot to grow the wealth we have, one shot to make great decisions. The good news is when we make bad decisions or subpar decisions or decisions that maybe are not in the best interest of where we could be, we always have the opportunity to kind of say, let's change where we're going to the future. It's all about the future looking. It's all about future focus. And guys, all I can tell you on this show is our goal is to try and challenge your minds to think differently around your wealth. Reach out to the sponsors of this show, Wall Private Wealth. We've got a great team. We help families all over the country not only protect, grow, reduce taxes on their wealth, but really think differently about how they maximize and become more efficient on their wealth journey. We'll talk to y'all soon. Be blessed.